Sagittarius in the 11th house. All right, if you got this placement from a whole sign perspective, you are an Aquarius rising. From a Placidus perspective, you may be a Pisces rising. All right, you may be a Pisces rising or a Capricorn rising. All right, so most of y'all may know I'm a big Placidus guy, even though I do resonate with whole signs through different perspectives. And I'm a Capricorn rising, so this is also my placement. The video before that's how this whole series goes. All right, some of you guys may relate. You may watch 2 videos based off the whole sign and Placidus perspective. So this would be my placement from a Placidus perspective. All right, so 11th house, social house, relationship house, interactive house. A lot of potential for relationship building in this house, but this house dealing with the relationships in the external realm, the public arena, strangers, associates, business partners, all right, colleagues, the things that you experience amongst group community activity, all right, the things you experience when you participate heavy out in the world. So when we throw Sagittarius here, mutable fire, ruled by Jupiter, fire, expressive, enlightening, creative, futuristic, fast-paced, intuitive, visionary, Jupiter, expansive, teacher, philosophy, spiritual, all right, creates experiences. So we know Sagittarius is a sign that deals with expansion and exploration. All right, don't forget that mutable energy, right? We know the mutable signs are the flexible signs. Let's also not forget in this series that the 11th house sextiles the first house. So this is always a house that supports your personality and personal issues. This is why in life, when it comes into our value and when it just comes into our personal outlook, we want to take our individuality out in the world. We always want to find ways to be an individual out in the world, which what Aquarius represents in this house. Aquarius represents the individual mind amongst the world, amongst the community, amongst the groups. Fixed air. So when we look at Sagittarius here, the Aquarius rising personality gets to thrive in a Sagittarius through different forms of exploration, adventure that manifests in the 11th house. A lot of your, there's a huge potential here. Excuse me, guys. There's a huge potential here for Aquarius rising to get into a lot of traveling exploration from an adolescent stage of life. This could be because of extracurricular activity. You were an athlete, maybe the family itself, your personal circumstances causing to y'all to move and what's the word? Move a lot. I don't know why I was trying to find a different word, but you know, you just manifested a lot of movement. But yes, exploration in some type of shape or form. Most likely it could be related to school education, right? I have this placement, so not only did I travel a lot based off extracurricular activity with you know, playing basketball at a very early age, you know, traveling around the country. I've even traveled abroad in early adult years. Now, Sagittarius itself has a lot to do with education in general. So even me going to become a Division I basketball player in college, just experiencing so much. I think every single time I've been overseas was basketball related, except for 1 time, 2 times going to Africa, all right, where I'm from. So you're going to be exposed to, you're most likely going to develop social environments and partnerships with people that are either, you know, different cultures, different backgrounds. So early in life, or the more you may have activity pushing you, you may have planets here, right? So the more activity here pushes you to become more experienced and more active in a certain area. So depending on that, you know, you may have manifested being aware of different backgrounds, you know, quicker than maybe peers, quicker than people in your surroundings where you grew up from, aka your 3rd house. So like this is going to boarding school, studying abroad. Once again, all this form of traveling and seeing this different form of culture. And now this expands how you deal with belief systems. This brings potential to expand that. This brings a lot of potential for this person to become very knowledgeable to other people based off of how much they've been able to collect from a mutable fire perspective. Just that alone, mutable fire, a flexible awareness of the visions, creativity, potential, you know, culture, tradition, blah, 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 of people that you interact with out in the world. All right, we know Sagittarius is a strong teacher, student teacher type signs, dealing with higher education, you know, and experience in general. So what's key here is making sure that when it comes into your interactions in the 11th house, there's a sense of discernment. All right, all you gotta be discernment dealing with the 11th house. I think I use that word every 11th house video because it's the house of the unknown. But when you have Sagittarius here, you have to make sure that, you know, the sense of a thrill or the sense of adventure is not always the deciding factor in why you participated in a certain experience with certain people, because that's going to be a common theme here with Sagittarius in the 11th house. You may attract a lot of social spaces and, you know, friendships in your life that deal with, you know, it could be really random, miscellaneous, erratic decision-making type people, right? From an adventurous explorational point of view. It could be some impulsive people you're around, all right? It could be some unstable, reckless people you're around at times. Unstable because of the sense of continuous exploration without reset or without a reflect type period, you know, so you could just run into certain chapters of life where maybe some of your social spaces started to feel like that. Then again, now this is a sextile. Sagittarius come out the 9th house, 10th, 11th. This is a sextile. So with all this activity with Jupiter ruling this house and Sagittarius being able to expand the ability to, wherever Jupiter is at, Jupiter influence Sagittarius is going to expand through experience. So it kind of makes this house very active by default because you got a little Jupiter influence there, and Jupiter could create episodes, throws us in different cycles with things, as every alignment and planet is really things dealing with cycles at the end of the day. But Jupiter Sagittarius energy can just become unstable and reckless because it's dealing with a lot of experienced exploration. So this is why these people could be very knowledgeable, very goddamn wise, know about every goddamn thing in the world. These people could get into studies that deal with world studies. Forget your state, forget your country, forget your neighborhood, forget all of that. Forget your race, your own religion. Nah, nigga, we studying world religions here in this muggery. All right. These people are gonna be exposed to intellectuals in their 11th house. You're gonna be around very smart people. Sagittarius in the 11th house, and you always want to be in a room with people smarter than you. All right. You know, Sagittarius arguably, you know, not arguably, but is one of the smartest signs in the zodiac. But that sense of thrill and whatnot has to be managed as far as deciding factors to go participate with a certain group to stand at third. Yes, attracting a lot of insightful guidance from teachers. There's going to be a strong theme through your friendships and social environments that teach you to be open with your belief systems. All right, Sagittarius can become very religious, but that's because they're just so big with that, with spiritual energy in general. The 9th house, that spiritual inclination energy, being in the spirit, being uplifted through the spirit, Holy Ghost spiritual energy, being high off spirit, higher education, exaggeration, expansion, gassing things up. So Sagittarius could be high in spirit here, but this is why they could become very passionate about just Christianity, the standard third. Sagittarius dominance is going to deal with some form of heavy religious energy, some form of heavy form of spirituality. And even if they atheists or something, they still going to be philosophical because they're going to have mad philosophies, beliefs behind why they atheists. So it very philosophical influence. So with all that being said, you got that in the 11th house. So now when you having random occurrences interacting with the unknown, with new potential associates, friendships, this and the third, they may have an entrance in your life being very educational about something dealing with their belief systems, something dealing with what they're very experienced with, their credentials about things, They may come into your life being able to expand or help you experience a lot more of where Jupiter's at. Now that's bringing us to the ruler. You need to know where Jupiter's at, because depending on where Jupiter's at, you're going to be experiencing and expanding a lot of that house in the 11th house. So let's say you got Jupiter in the 5th house, the opposite house. A lot of the things you're expressing with being pushed into experiences, learning how to be center stage, deal with attention, deal with performing, expressing yourself on the stage, the criticism, the feedback, the ups, the glory moments, the downs, the people, places, and things that could help you understand how to ignite and pour into the relationship with the inner child. Different creative, collaborative experiences that you manifest in this house. Jupiter's gonna bring all that to the 11th house. So it's gonna turn into a lot of enterprising. It's gonna have a lot of, Saturn support. So these little creative efforts could turn into something substantial. It could turn into something that could be related to bigger entities that could, add on or connect different groups and communities, manifest different partnerships with other entities. So, that's what will be going on there. Say you got Jupiter in the 1st house. This person, now, this is strong placement. When you got the 11th house hitting the 1st house in general. All right, because this person's personal interest, this person's personal outlook in the world, and their personality can be very influential in the world. So if you got Jupiter here, it don't matter what the fuck their religion, belief system is. This could just touch all the other people in the world who have this same belief system, and they could really be the example for it, the personal example for it, the face for these things. Nonetheless, the things this person has personal experience about, the things this person is personally intrigued about learning or what that, they could create communities, groups to exchange this knowledge, wisdom, experience, explore that concept, belief, creative attribute or whatnot with this group of community. They could create this influence. They could pioneer. 1st house, I am, creation, pioneer. They could pioneer a lot of movement into the 11th house with things they're very experienced with. Jupiter in the 3rd house, things dealing with, what you may have experienced in adolescent stages of your life, early education, teenage stages, things that are very familiar, slight traits from the home environment, things about the culture and tradition from your home environment. It could be a certain tradition in your neighborhood that you make influential out in the world. So let's say you from the neighborhood that started crumping or whatnot. You ain't start crumping, but where they started crumping or whatnot, and you renowned as one of the best crumpers of all time, or you're the person, not one of the best crumpers of all time. If don't nobody know what crumping is a form of dancing, or I believe it originated in the West Coast, but you got the 3rd house lord in the 11th house, so you may be the one that manifests. You're gonna have potential to take this neighborhood tradition and culture and take it across the world, other places. Especially with Sagittarius here, Jupiter. You may be the reason something becomes more worldwide. People, Jupiter, know knowledge. They're aware. They're enlightened about something from your 3rd house tradition, culture. Right? You expand it in the 11th house. That's another strong placement. That's a trine. All right, I'm just giving some examples. Jupiter in let's go to a square house. Jupiter in the 2nd house. When it comes into your philosophies with your value system, when it comes into Jupiter in the 7th house, gonna have more philosophical values dealing with materialism. There's a lot of potential here to connect spirituality amongst materialism. So these people may be very inclined to develop the philosophy that, currency is a frequency vibration and you got to give to receive. Like, they're going to have more of these philosophical outlooks dealing with materialism. So when you got Jupiter in the 2nd house, things dealing with your philosophy about how to build stability, security, certain spiritual themes to reaffirm, or philosophical concepts and ideologies to reaffirm within things that you value, building and structuring, a creative attribute, a talent you're crafting, your craft in general. These people can bring some type of influence of that into the 11th house from from an artist perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from a philosopher perspective, from an author perspective. All right. Jupiter in the 10th house, neighbor house. This person is able to create a lot of, you know, endeavors to enterprise and network things that they have, things that they've created some type of you know, aura around for a social status or reputation about things. Jupiter in the 10th house is going to bring a lot of exploration of understanding how to you know, make your experience and your knowledge gained, you know, not only be attached to your identity in the world, but allow it to help you build and build foundation and navigate career in general. So it's going to be a lot of karma with, you know, repeated lessons to apply with things in career through different circumstances, environments, and relationships in your 10th house. But you're also going to be seen knowledgeable. A lot of teacher influence here with Jupiter in the 10th house, or at least your philosophies about things can be heavily attached to your social status. So when you have this here, that can really expand into communities and groups with Jupiter next door, all right, with the 11th house being the extension of the 10th house social status and whatnot, reputation. All right, so yeah, we got that going on with Sagittarius there in general. So once again, your friends may travel a lot. You may have some travel buddy ass friends. You get to learn a lot through your friends' experiences. Sagittarius in the 11th house, Lord have mercy. You damn near feel like you're living through your friends at some point. You damn near felt like you done been in a soulmate twin flame relationship, been all around the world, done studied in the temples with the monks, done meditated in the mountains with the Buddhists, done been in the church aisles with the Christians, done been in the pyramids with Islam, was atheist for 8 weeks. Sagittarius, yeah. All your friends got a lot going on. You might be living vicariously through their ass. All right. But I believe I said this, but I just want to repeat that, you know, in some type of circumstance, that sense of openness and the theme of Sagittarius following a path of self-enlightenment through creating its own belief systems and learning through the belief systems of other mutable, flexible, different circumstances of how you interact with people in the 11th house. Always going to teach you not to be too locked into anything unless it's bringing, you know, direct sense of, you know, purpose and spiritual development, but, you know, remaining open towards the different forms of spirituality, right? Keep that flexibility there no matter how passionate you get about things dealing with spirituality and belief systems, because fire is going to bring a lot of passion in general, and fire could be ahead of itself. Now this is a sextile, so the head of itself type influence is going to come with the lack of discernment of the, you know, how you go about participating with certain groups or relationships or environments because of the thrill, or how it looks like it could be an adventure or whatnot, or exciting. With this placement, you could run into a lot of charismatic, savvy, talker-like people, used car salesmen, head ass, you know, demeanors and approaches. You could deal with a lot of that Sagittarius in the 11th house. So that discernment there has to be there as far as in that way. All different placements need to have discernment how they interact with the unknown, but, you know, it's just what you have to anticipate. Okay. Try not to be too open when dealing with business decisions, collaborative efforts. Too open, like, nah, it's okay, y'all can pay me whatever. Nah, it's okay, I'm down, because sometimes Sagittarius be down for the experience. This is a Saturn ruled house. So that right there, sometimes it could be too comfortable. Sagittarius being a sextile house could be a little too comfortable here. Be a little bit too trustworthy, all right? Now, this is something I could say I could relate to with this placement. You know, sometimes Sagittarius could burn out fast, you know, could deal with a sense of escapism, strong surges of passion, but could be here and there, a lot of movement. So Sagittarius in the 11th house, you may see this cycle of you manifesting these sporadic. I've been using the word sporadic a lot lately. I know what it means, but let me just quadruple check. I don't want occurring occasionally, singly is a word, or in irregular or random instances. Yes, sporadic. Okay, like sporadic, random. All right, it sounds better than random. Sound a little bit more sophisticated, right, y'all? So you may see this cycle of sporadic interactions with people where it's high surges of passion. It look like it's about to be the best friendship in the world. It's about to look like it's about to be the best business partnership in the world. We're about to build the best community in the world. All right, and it could fizzle out quick. You can have these surges of quick, passionate cycles of friendships here. All right, so I could definitely relate to that. And Sagittarius is gonna bring that theme wherever it's at. Okay, but yeah, having planets here or having the ruler influenced by other expressive planets or houses. So like the sun in the first, fifth house, seventh house, third house, in this 11th house, 12th house to a degree, really any house, because I'm bugging, really any house, because it's still dealing with what Jupiter is going to be bringing to the collective. You're still bringing something to the collective. I was just about to say, if Jupiter or is aligning, or planets in this house is aligning with more expressive influences, then that's a lot of potential for you to really be a voice about something from these areas there. All right, but the more we deal with the ruler, we can always activate that in general. All right, I tell y'all, no matter what astrologer tells you, if you understand how to work with the direction of your rulers, you will be able to manipulate any house in your favor. All right, the opposite house has what here? We're talking about Sagittarius, Gemini. All right, once again, this is my chart. I don't know how I be catching airhead moments and talk about my chart, but I am a Libra, airhead. But Gemini in the 5th house. We got Gemini in the 5th house, man. All right, so it's gonna be so many different ideas and change and movement of ideas of things you want to deal with creatively. You may deal with so many different chapters of doing things different creatively. Also based off your partnerships, you be heavily influenced to deal with creative endeavors, artistic endeavors, because of your relationships and your surroundings. Your friends, homies rap, you start rapping. Friends, homies play ball, that's why you was playing ball. Well, forget playing ball. More so from a creative expression point of view. It could slide into entertainment and performance in general. All right. But with that being said, with Gemini having so much potential to create these collaborative, creative influences and adapt, to its peers or surroundings, creative endeavors, when you get into the 11th house, you have to become more open to exploring that. When you bring your local creative expression into the 11th house, you have to be open to exploring, with other artists, other people in your industry, in your space, because you're going to deal with a lot of interaction here. This is one of the most interactive. Those fire air axes be interactive, especially when you have fire and air signs in the axis. All right. So when you have Sagittarius here, us being open to experiencing things in the 11th house in general, with discernment, with people that we see align with our belief systems and things that are in line with our spiritual development, that could teach us things, that have aspirations, fire aspirations and vision that are in correlation to ours. That sense of local energy, it might be a situation like you develop the rap crew in your neighborhood. Gemini 5th house, develop the rap crew in your neighborhood, then y'all break out into the industry or out into the world, and y'all still acting like y'all only gotta work with yourselves, and you're missing out opportunities, being able to experience, being able to expand, right, your voice, your influence, your brand, your relationships, because you're not allowing yourself to experience what others just stand in the third. It's almost like you got to get that together, but it has to be purposeful. It has to be purposeful in its highest vibration. That's like the highest vibration of things dealing with this interactive axis, because it's a curious axis. Sagittarius and Gemini are very curious. So sometimes these two signs can get into things for the thrill of things. So Gemini using trusted sources of its surrounding, what it's familiar with, creative attributes it's familiar with, and being able to be open, experiencing that with others in the 11th house, you want to embrace that there. Then the square is in the 8th house. The square is in the 8th house, and that's going to be Virgo. All right, so with Virgo is already influence, you're going to catch influences to be more, critically, to critically analyze things dealing with the subconscious, your traumas, your insecurities, and eventually be exposed and gain awareness to different forms of wellness practices, exercises, and regimens that can support transformation and transmutation and cleansing of traumas and heavy energies in your life. So when you have the 11th house Sagittarius there, now you have to be aware about how your interactions out in the world, especially these ones that are thrilling and can be reckless and unstable, how they affect that process. How they affect that process with Virgo bringing regiment and management, right? To your transformation, to your transmutation. So let's say you on a process all your life, you've been overweight, and now you're in a space where you're finally finding that encouragement. You're breaking certain things with insecurities, childhood conditioning, all these behaviors in a deep process of transformation, developing new habits, gym habits, ways of thinking, affirmation. And you're just in a, you're blossoming, good brother, good sister. I see you doing your thing. But then you got Sagittarius in the motherfucking 11th house creating all these sporadic experiences that can throw your pace off, your regiment off, all right? With things that is going to support your transformation, going to support your healing, all right? So that's what we got going on there. And then also the more you're open towards people teaching different, let's say for this example, teaching different exercise, regimens, different nutrition, regimens, allowing yourself not to be too know-it-all-ish here, because these some smart-ass signs here. All right, we're doing some smart-ass signs. Gemini, the mutable sign, Gemini, Pisces. I mean, Pisces too, intuitive ass, but I think of like Virgo, Virgo and the Mercury signs, right? Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius, they automatically, boom, go right into my smartest signs. Sagittarius, Pisces go into my wisest signs. All right, Sagittarius get that smart and that wisest shit. But anyways, that's a whole nother story there, a whole nother video. But when we're looking at that openness to learning from others, to cultivate different belief systems, make sure you do that to support different regiments that Virgo got going on in the 8th house. May think you all locked into knowing how you're doing something over here, and somebody in your 11th house Sagittarius in there trying to give you some guidance and insight, because Sagittarius is is the sign that's coming after that house, is the 9th house sign. All right, so allow it to support Virgo with its enlightenment from something that was transformative in the 8th house. And then we got the 2nd house. All right, we got the 2nd house, and this is Pisces. All right, see, Pisces here in the 2nd house gonna have some real philosophical values. May have a value system heavily associated with spirituality. All right, things dealing with more of a free-spirited lifestyle, free-spirited values. Okay, and sometimes it could be a little delusional about how it's utilizing building blocks in reality to support his imagination here. But nonetheless, though, it's a huge sense of optimism with that sense of spiritual inclination, or let's say philosophical influence when it comes into their value system. So when we get into the Sagittarius in the 11th house, what Pisces got to do here is make sure it allows it to use Sagittarius. Now this is the Jupiter sign square. Allow it to use Sagittarius, okay, to be an expression, to spread mutable fire. Now push that out, right? Be an expression, spread your awareness, all right, for these values here, for these philosophies here, and allow your tribe to formulate based off these values. All right, allow your tribe to fit to all these values, all these things. Pisces, mutable water, is gaining awareness through other people's values, building emotional, we can say emotional, but building some form of a connection towards, understanding and being open towards other people's values and philosophies here. Raising Jupiter influence, Pisces in the 2nd house, Jupiter influence, having more of an expanded way of how they look at, materialism, and once again, adding that philosophy, how they look at materialism. So, with that type of potential of the value being constructed here, that has to be expressed and carried out in the 11th house to have that reflect these values, right? Instead of the things that may come off as so much of a thrill and adventure, and it may challenge some of your values or just throw off your process with things just dealing with personal and spiritual development. All right, got the 11th house, the unknown house, which got a lot of things going on. You got one of the most random, miscellaneous, full of experience, full of life, full of adventures, never sitting down, full of excitement, full of episodes, head, ass, sign in this house. All right, so nonetheless, to say, to conclude this video, this house is the life of the party. All right, so shout out to all my Aquarius risings, man. From Placidus perspective, shout out to all my my Pisces and Capricorn risings. All right, until the next video, man, I'm gonna see you later, man. It's Tony Montana, man. Peace.